Hello, and welcome to Book Circle. I'm Earl Weinberg. This time we will continue our reading of The Demon Priest by Jim Burrows. Our narrator Lee has been in a fight full of superheroes. At one point, maybe she was a superhero, but then she fainted. Chapter 11, Face to Face. When I came to, the fight was over, and I was really confused, and ached all over. There you all were, looking down at me. Actually, at first, I was looking down at me, and as I came around, I was kind of worrying that might mean I was dead. You know, looking down at myself with all of you. She's waking up. I heard me say, and then I passed out again. The next time I woke up, I was looking up at all of you, much better. Someone was gone, someone scary, but you all were there. There was Maddie and Henri and the father, TC, Selena, and for a moment I even saw the kid, some girl I didn't recognize, and you. Who are you? I asked. William. Bishop William Whitcomb. Are you all right? I think so. Did we catch the doctor? The man we knew as Dr. Apollo, the plague doctor, yes, but not the one behind him. There was too much interference. However, he is weakened. We will prevail, said Father Gregory. He leaned over and took my hand. How are you feeling? Would you care to sit up or stand? It was good to hear the Father's voice, that voice. I looked around, past all the people. I was lying in a pew at the back of St. Michael's. Yes, I think, I said, and with his help sat up. The room only spun a little. That was a brave thing you did, and foolish, confronting the doctor, said Maddie. She gave me a hand, and between her and the Father, they helped me to my feet. There were a lot of people in the nave, EMTs and police helping people, a number of our neighbors, and more police and Falcon operatives standing guard. Is it over, the fight? I asked, and then felt kind of foolish. What happened? We need to talk, Lee, said Maddie. We'll answer all your questions, and I have a few of my own. Do you think you can walk? I can try. I took a few steps and then had to grab a pew to steady myself. My hand didn't look right. It was pale. Wasn't it supposed to be red? My head spun and I looked at Maddie before saying, I'm sorry. The next time I woke up, there weren't as many people, and we were up in the Father's quarters, just you, Maddie, Father Gregory, and the strange girl. I thought I saw the kid for a moment, but then he was nowhere to be seen. Ah, you're coming around again. Good, said Maddie. Would you like some? She asked, holding out a cup of milk and honey with rum. It smelled really good. Are you sure we shouldn't get her a doctor? Asked the strange girl. Only if we must. For now, the Father just let it trail off. What do you remember? Asked Maddie. I took a long sip of the parish house drink before answering, I saw the doctor, Dr. Apollo. I yelled. I tried to get the cops to arrest him. I grabbed him. We fought. Someone really scary showed up. Then the bishop showed up, and you did? And I was fighting someone at the same time? I don't know. It's kind of all a mess. That's actually pretty good, Lee. It's all right to be a little confused. There are things that are hard to remember or think about. Yeah, said Maddie, but enough of it will be on TV that it's better we talk about it now, if you can. On TV? I asked. Yeah, said the strange girl. It's already gone viral on the web, so the news will pick it up. About the fight? I asked. That and more, she said. I'm Bella, by the way. The bishop's my grandfather. She looked over at Maddie. You're doing fine, Bella, better than me last time. Last time? I said. Yeah, said Bella. We've explained this a couple of times. To me? Uh-huh. It's a little hard to get your head around. I just nodded. My head hurt, and this talk about getting my head around something, well, it made me realize how much it ached. I reached up to rub my forehead, and something wasn't quite right. It was the horns, but I didn't know that then. I just bumped into them with my fingers, and, what the hell? It's all right. This Bella girl seemed really nice. You're not hurt. Well, not there. It's part of the stuff we need to talk about. I started feeling one of the horns with my hand. It was hard and knobby, and I didn't remember having horns. Or I didn't want to, or something. It's all right, she said. Don't worry about it too much. We'll get to that part soon enough. Or was it that I didn't remember not having horns? Horns and red skin and darker on my wings. No, that didn't make sense. I don't have wings. Besides, they're feathered, not... My head started to spin. Bella took my hand. No, she said. Stop a minute and listen to me, the sound of my voice. I looked down at her pale hand, and for a moment it seemed like it was the same color as mine. Then my hand darkened. My nails got thick and hard and curved. Bella squeezed my hand. It was very red. It was getting hard to think through all the voices, too many voices all at once. Then I noticed one of them was Henri's. You got visitors downstairs, Father. Say it's important. Who, Henri? Chief Lefort, Lionheart, the True Knight, and True Blue, sir. They insisted on seeing you, Miss Lee, and the other personage. Tell them we will be down presently. It's all right, said Bella, and I knew I had a new friend. She was right, too. Listening to her voice helped. It was very human. Maddie and the father were just looking at me. They seemed worried. Bella smiled at them and squeezed my hand. It'll be all right, she told them. Then she turned to you and said, It's okay, Poppy. I'll be back. Then to Maddie and the father, Let's go. Back to me, Are you ready, Lee? I just nodded. She's right, Wim. Thank you, Bella. The four of us went down to the parish house parlor. Father Gregory and Maddie led the way. Bella and I followed. The parlor seemed awfully full with those four meta superheroes in it, and they didn't seem happy. I'm sorry, Father, but with the newcomer, Chief Lefort started. The demoness, hissed Lionheart, glaring. In my house, you will, said the father. Quite right, Reverend, said True Blue, stepping forward, offering him her hand. They call me True Blue. Thank you for speaking with us. The father shook her hand, and she turned to me, smiling. And you must be Lee. I've heard a lot about you. So glad we could meet. She offered me her hand. Those blue gloves of hers are so fine, silk or something special, that it felt almost like she wasn't wearing them. Her hand was warm as we shook. The eye holes are big in her mask, and her eyes were the brightest blue I've ever seen. True blue, I guess. It seemed like I should say something, so I smiled and said, Pleased to meet you. I don't know, what's a sidekick supposed to say to a superhero? Before she let go of my hand, she asked, How are you? Feeling yourself again? Not so much. I guess I got kind of banged up in that fight, but it was that plague doctor. Someone had to call him out. She gave my hand a little squeeze and let go. Thank you, she said. After she let go, I remembered that she had those truth-telling powers, could tell when you were lying and make you tell the truth. And maybe I heard once that one of those powers was to make you forget she had them when you were in, like, contact or something. I was still thinking about that when Maddie stepped forward. I'm afraid she still doesn't remember or know anything about the other person who showed up, she said. The other person? Is that what you're calling her? Snapped Lionheart. True Blue and the father both glared at him, and he quieted down. The father turned to Lefort and asked, You wish to discuss something with us, Chief? Yes, the fight earlier caused some concern. Concern? Lionheart almost growled. She struck me with a sword. Perhaps we can address these concerns more privately, Chief, with fewer interruptions. Yes, Father, that might be a good idea. Do you suppose that you and I could speak while True Blue talks with your assistant, and the others are all excused? The father was quite quiet while looking over just about everyone in the room, real careful like, and then finally said, Yes, I think that would be acceptable, if it is all right with Lee. I'm not sure how I can help, but sure, I answered. Fine, then you're dismissed, Lionheart, Knight, Jardin. Lionheart and the true knight grumbled, but laughed. Maddie stopped a moment to speak with Bella, and the two of them went back upstairs. Shall you and I retire to my office, Chief? The father asked, and leave this room to these two? Lead on, she replied. How can I help? I asked True Blue. She drew back the hood of her cloak. The tight-fitting blue cowl mask still hid a lot of her face, but it was easy enough to see that she was smiling in a friendly way. I just have a few questions. We sat down on the couch on the far side of the parlor from the father's office, by the door to the library. True Blue had taken off her cloak and laid it over the back of the couch before sitting down. What do you remember of the fight? She asked, taking my hand in hers. I told her what I'd told Maddie upstairs. I see. And do you remember changing at all, or someone else showing up? Changing? Yes. When we shook hands, your skin was much redder. She held my hand up for me to see. It was the usual pinkish color, like normal. I stopped and thought for a minute. It had been red a little while ago, hadn't it, when I noticed the horns? The horns? I reached up with my free hand. They were still there. I have horns, I blurted out. Yes, you do. I don't believe that you did yesterday. That's odd. It's odd, isn't it? Yes, it is, she said. You can come in, Miss Lockwood. Bella stepped out of the vestibule into the parlor. I didn't mean to spy, she said. Oh, of course you did. Don't be silly. But it's all right. Come in, pull over a chair. I've been alone with Lee long enough to know that she's telling the truth, and I can tell that you make her feel comfortable. That's important. Bella pulled over a wooden chair and sat down close, facing the couch. Did you see what happened during the fight, Arabella? May I call you Arabella? Most people call me Bella. Very well, Bella. You can call me True. Think of it as short for Gertrude or Trudy without the E. Thank you, True. Yes, I saw all of Lee's encounter with the doctor, if that's what you mean. Have you been with her much since then? Yes, most of the time. And has she been changing all along? Bella just nodded, and they both looked back at me. Do you know why you have horns now, Lee? True asked. No, I didn't used to, I answered, and then, after a while, I added, at least not lately. Lately? Did you have them some time ago? I didn't have a good answer to True's question. I don't remember much from before I was in the safe place, before the medicines and help. Remember, said a voice. I looked at Bella for a while, chewed on my lip a bit, and said, I might have when I met your grandfather William. When did you meet him? Do you know where? Bella asked. In the dark. On the road. The hidden road. The hidden road? Yes, I nodded. He wanted to pass to the place of the bound. And what happened? Something happened then. The world suddenly looked very different. We were still in the parlor, and all the things and the people, they were all still there and the same, but they looked different. None shall pass, I growled in a voice I didn't recognize, or didn't want to recognize. Whatever made the world look funny scared True and Bella, but then everything went back to normal. Well, mostly normal. The room seemed a little warmer. Father Gregory and Chief Lefort hurried into the parlor, and I could hear people coming down the stairs. It was Maddie and you. Lee, said the father, could you take Bella upstairs and teach her how we make the pan bread, while her grandfather and I finish up with the Chief, Maddie, and True Blue? Sure, I said. Bella took my hand and we went upstairs. And perhaps a bit of warm milk and honey as well, he added as we left. We were still getting everything together in the kitchen when the father came up with you and Maddie, and things started to get kind of scary. Well, not right away. The father, Bella, and I made the usual St. Michael's comfort food, spicy pan bread and warm milk and honey with olive oil. It got everyone feeling, homey. Then you sprung the stuff about Lalela on me, showed me that video that was going viral of me confronting the plague doctor and this demon warrior woman coming out of me to rip the Greek god out of the doctor, me recognizing you and then collapsing. The whole time you were doing it, the voices were arguing in my head. Some of them were screaming no and making me want to cover my eyes, and others were going yeah and, I don't know, making the sound of fist pumps and high fives, if that makes any sense, which it probably doesn't. Through all of this, Bella was holding my hand. You got yourself a real good granddaughter there, you know. So, I'm like possessed? No, I don't think so, said Bella. Really? I mean, I started, and then interrupted myself. You're right, Bella. It's more an incarnation than a possession. I said in this deeper voice. I knew that voice. Then she just stepped out of me, almost shaking Bella's hand out of mine. She looked just like me. Well, except for the horns, the pointy ears, the wings, hot pink skin, dressed in armor, her hair being red instead of auburn. But, like me except all of that. The voices were gibbering. Well, except for the ones telling the gibbering ones to calm down. Someone, I think it must have been me, yelled, "Everyone shut up!" I think that kind of scared you all, 'cause none of you were talking. Bella just smiled and nodded. Demon me looked kind of sad and said really softly in that deep voice of hers, "I'm sorry." Then she changed. Well, some. She was still pink with horns, but her wings went from all bat-like to white and feathered, and the armor kind of squirmed and shifted, and she was wearing like a little red-trimmed white silk mini-dress, backless because of the wings. I think of that as my fallen angel form instead of my demon one. Not that I was thinking of it as me. Not me. She, me, was thinking that, but we weren't thinking all the same just then. Hello, Lee. We are Lalela. Oh, we are we? She just nodded. Then do you think that most of us could just, shut the hell up so I can think and you can tell me what in hell is going on? Again, we are sorry. And would you believe it? The voices, the damned voices, actually backed off and went away. I wanted to just collapse. Or float away, maybe. People always talk about this weight off your shoulders, but just then it was like real. So then, Angel me, she says to each of you, you and the father, Bella and Maddie, thank you. You all helped. That kind of made me mad. I mean, what did she know about it? But now, in the quiet, I could hear her thinking about how they all helped me be me, thinking that, like, right in my head. I guess I was kind of mad at myself over what a dummy I could be. Softly, in a very small voice, I said, thank you, too. I turned to her and said, so you're Lalela and a fallen angel, like the father? Yes, and so are you, both Lalela and a fallen angel, though not quite the same as Shamsiel, your father Samuel. He is Grigory, we are not. She was right, and I knew that, or was starting to know it, or remember it, but it helped for her to say it with her mouth and for me to hear it with my ears. It sounds kind of, well, crazy, which I'm not supposed to say. You've changed, you said to us, to both of us. That made me start to remember when we met on the road, and that was kind of scary. I think Bella could see I was scared. She squeezed my hand and said, it'll be all right. You're safe here. Usually that wouldn't make me feel safe. They were always saying things like that at the safe place, and I never felt safe there. You couldn't talk about the voices and lots of other stuff. Always had to be real careful. This time, though, it did help. You, all you guys, you liked me and didn't, make me feel broken. Maybe you could tell us a bit about yourself, she said, and was looking at Lalela as she finished. That kind of worried Lalela, which kind of scared me. I could feel the worry and what it was about. We were worried that me remembering all that might be too much, that it might make it too hard for me to be me. And she liked being me. We both liked me. Wow, that was scary. Scary as hell, but kind of good, too. What, said Lalela, if we didn't start at the beginning, but closer to the end? What if I told it instead? I said. You and your grandfather only just got here. What if I told you my story, our story, or at least a part of it since I met Father Samuel here in New Acadia, our story, his and mine? That will make it more real for me, Lalela said. Well, Lalela and I said that last word together. Everyone thought it was a good idea. I turned to Bella. All this story I'm going to tell you, it changed me. Telling will kind of mean going back to who I was then. It'll be a little scary talking about things I'm not supposed to, the kind of things that made people take me to the safe place. Just thinking about it kind of brings it all back. But we like being me, so I guess it's a good thing. Go ahead, Lee. Be who you need to be you. Like I said, you've got a good granddaughter. She's right, Lee, you said. I know about safe places. They decided I wasn't just old. No, I'd gone off my rocker, talking about Sam and you, going to dream in the hidden road. I know how it is to be thought of that way, and because they thought of me like that, they kept me from seeing you and Sam on the news. I'd really like to hear that story, your story. It will help me recover from being in a supposedly safe place. I closed my eyes, trying to remember the way things were, the way I was back then when I met him. After a while, I opened them, looked at you, and then started the story. Look, I know I'm not supposed to say these things. If I do, then I'll need my meds again, and when I forget them, I'll have to go to the safe place again. I shouldn't know to tell you these things. If I do, you have to promise me that you won't tell anyone I said them. Promise?" You all nodded. I was one of the first to see him, probably the first. He stepped out through the wall. Not a door in the wall, out through the wall. I know, walls don't do that. I didn't see it. They just say he stepped out through a wall. It was a brick wall, old bricks. A brick wall in an alley off Washington Street, in a bad part of New Acadia, where nobody sees anything, especially not me. And we've come full circle, because if you go back to the first episode of this, those are the words we opened with. And this is the story that she has been telling to her friends up to now. But of course, stories don't stop just like that. And we'll continue a new part of the story next time.